What's up guys? In this video, I'm just going to be going over all of the art tools and supplies that I use kind of on a daily basis for making art or just practicing and studying, and I'm going to go over all my digital and traditional ones. So let's jump in, let's get started. So just starting out, everybody needs them, everybody's got to have them, they're pencils. I sometimes use a mechanical pencil, but not very often, but I like to keep a few around just for fun. They're nice for more technical stuff sometimes. I like to have these red and blue kind of like tracing rough draft pencils that don't show up when you scan them and put ink on them. And then for the most part, I use these like Statler, I don't know if that's how you say it, Statler, and these Mitsubishi pencils that you can find in Japan. And I normally range from like an HB to a 2B, but HB is where I normally sit at. And as you can tell, I like these little like tip erasers that go on the tip of the pencils, and then you got just their standard like Tombow white erasers, and then I love kneaded erasers actually. I think they're super underrated. And of course, you gotta have a pencil sharpener. Moving on to the pens. So these pens and liners is what I use a lot actually. And I range from like basically a 0.1 to 0.5 as far as like the size is concerned. And I mean, you can't really go wrong. There's a few brands that I use, like Pilot's good, these Copic ones, and then the Sakura microns, and they're all just awesome. You want to make sure, I mean, most of them already are, but you get them because they're waterproof. And then I have a few pens like this to like kind of do larger fills for, if I'm filling a whole section with black. This is the kind of pen that I would use. These Pilot Kakuno pens are really cool, and I love getting them just for fun, kind of just for doodling, and I kind of like am collecting them a little bit too. But they're super awesome because it makes you feel like you're using a really cool kind of like fancier nib pen when they're pretty cheap actually. Most of them retail for like, I don't know, $8 to $10. And you get these little ink cartridges that you can refill, like you can see here. You just plug it in, you have to press it a little bit to get the ink flowing, and then you're good to go. Sometimes they even do these kind of like collab branded ones, and those are always fun to keep an eye out for. Moving on to these manga nibs that I have. These are really awesome. I love using them. They're a little bit hard to get used to, and honestly not my number one preference as far as like when it comes to inking or doing line work, but every now and then I bust these bad boys out because it just feels so cool to sit down and draw with these. You really feel like a mangaka. And the brand you see with the nib holders that I have are all Tachikawa brand, and these are really popular in Japan. I like that red one the most, but the blue and the white are cool. And then I have an array of different nibs that I use too. But here's just me showing you what it's like, dipping it in and putting pen on paper. It's really fun. Just go mess around with these. Most people would use like a G pen. There's like Maru pen, G pen, there's a few different kinds, but I really like the Nikko brand. And it's really hard to miss though, especially if you're in Japan. You can just go to any kind of store and they'll have really good nibs and pens for you to use, and they're normally pretty cheap. And for ink, this Deleter Black 4 is the one that I go to for like just black and white stuff. This is like the most trusted ink of all time. And then if you want to get some watercolor, or like completely waterproof, this Nicker ink, this comic ink right here, that one works really well with watercolors. And speaking of watercolors, here's my watercolors. So I like to use these for kind of like sketching, or if I'm just need like to reset and kind of do something really loose and sketchy and fun. I use mostly Winsor and Newton just because they're a little bit cheaper, and sometimes splurge and get like a Holbein or something. And these are just brushes that I picked up from Sekaido, which is like the #1 store in Japan that you can get a lot of your art supplies at. And that Holbein brush is my favorite. And I also have these Dr. P.H. Martins, I'm not even sure how to say it, but these really cool kind of like saturated inks that I bust out from time to time if you want to get like more of a cool effect with those. As for sketchbooks, I keep it pretty simple. I don't have like a super preference. Those Croaky are really cheap, so I use those a lot, and I can get the bigger sizes for just like getting all my brainstorming ideas out on the page. And I just keep a bunch of them around and just use them willy-nilly, honestly. And then for watercolor, the paper that I'm using is For the good stuff, you know, I bust out the arches, and then for just everyday kind of stuff, I like this Watson paper. It's really good and pretty cheap. Then we just got, you know, this standard cutter. I don't even know, Ledyon? I don't even know the brand. I'm pretty sure I got this like on Amazon or something, but it's pretty cheap and it gets the job done. And here's this light board that I use too for doing some watercolor or any kind of tracing that I need. It's a Huion, I believe, and has like an adjustable dimness and brightness setting. Pretty good. I use a Canon Canoscan LIDE 220 and this Pixis, the printer and scanner. I just kind of alternate between them, but yeah, they're good. And this is a cool little travel pouch that I have. My friend actually gifted this to me. This is like custom made. They were like, I picked the patterns and they sewed it together for me. It was so awesome. But this is great, you know, if you're traveling, just need to grab a few pens or something and take it with you. Really awesome. And for the piece de la resistance, I have an iPad Pro, 12.9 inch. I believe it's from like 2017. This is my go-to for digital art. This is like what I do still to this day. Most of all of my digital art, my animations, my illustrations, it's all on this bad boy with the Gen 2 Apple Pencil and this funny little thing that I rigged up to support it on. This is kind of what, if I'm at a desk or a table, this is what I put it on. But you know, honestly, sometimes I just sit on the couch and I'll just draw. And it's really nice. It's so portable. It's so nice. Most of the time the screen is big enough for me. Drawing with the Apple Pencil is really great. The touch features, everything on the iPad is pretty freaking amazing. I mean, there's a reason that they're so good and so many people use them. I also use this little grip too. It's an Elecom grip. It's actually for the first gen pencil, but you can use it on the second one. It doesn't really matter. And this like paper-like film that I got also from Big Camera here in Japan. I don't know if you can get these in America, but people have asked about them before, so I wanted to show them. And it's really awesome. And this is my XP Pen 22. This thing is still, I'm so glad I got it. For anything that's like a little bit bigger project or something that I want to really bust out, like have like my keyboard to use keyboard shortcuts and maybe be a little bit more efficient and faster in the process, or really want that bigger drawing space, I have this bad boy, and it's mounted on the Ergo arm. As you can see, the XP Pen is really good. I have no problems with it. I like drawing with it. And of course you got the glove, the funny little glove, but it really helps. It really makes it nice when you're kind of like moving your hand all across the screen. And I love drawing on the XP Pen. If you want to see a more in-depth comparison between the iPad and the XP Pen 22, check out the video I did comparing them on my YouTube channel, and you'll get a way better in-depth pros and cons listing of all that stuff. Well, that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks so much. I hope this helped, or if you're interested. I love seeing what other artists use, so I really wanted to make one of these kinds of videos, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. So as always, thanks for watching and listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.